All right, so here is the breaking news. The already iconic Cadillac Escalade has just become that much more iconic with the release of the all-new 2025 Cadillac Escalade IQ. I've got all the details for you, so let's get going. All right, so first of all, you're probably wondering where I am. Why is this background a lot different than my normal YouTube studio? In fact, right now I'm actually currently in the Toronto, Ontario, Canada area, Oshawa to be more specific, because I am heading over to the Chevy Silverado HD plant. So stay tuned because I'm gonna have some amazing videos from inside the plant where they build the HDs. But because I'm here for this, I did miss out on the opportunity to be in New York City to see the reveal of the Cadillac Escalade IQ. However, I did last week get to see it in person. The only problem was I couldn't film it. So today I'm going to definitely go over it. I definitely have some pictures and videos, as you've already seen, to show you about it. There's so much things to go over. I just want to kind of hit on some of the cool things, some of the important things, at least I find important, without muddying the waters too much and making this a 30-minute video. So let's talk about it. First and foremost, of course, as you can see, it is revolutionary in terms of its looks. Definitely different looking than any other Escalade. However, if you see it, you can still tell that it's an Escalade from the exterior looks. Now, at quick glance, when they first pulled the cover off of it, I really quickly just immediately saw a big Cadillac lyric. But the more you look at it, the more I don't think that that's true. They've done many things with this vehicle, and I think part of the exciting thing to make, aside from the looks difference, which we're going to talk about more here in a second, is the fact that, the engineering team, who I got an opportunity to talk to, as well as the design team and the marketing team and everybody at Cadillac basically that had involvement with this, was that, they were excited because much like the Hummer EV and the Silverado EV, the Sierra EV, they didn't just take a current model, which would be the Cadillac Escalade, pardon me, and then turn it into just put electric batteries in it, right? Electrify it. They basically started from the ground up, and that's exciting for designers and engineers because they were able to do a lot of things you can't do with a typical ICE-powered vehicle. And so, of course, as you already know, this is based on the Ultium platform of batteries. In fact, it uses a 25-cell Ultium battery, and this thing can charge with the right charging equipment up to 100 miles in 10 minutes only. Not only that, of course, but this Ultium platform allows the Cadillac Escalade IQ to go up to an estimated 450 miles. This thing can also even pull 8,000 pounds on top of that. And how about the power? Well, what I'm seeing is very similar to what we were seeing in the Silverado and Sierra EV, not the Hummer EV, but we're looking at 750 horsepower and again, over 700 pound-feet of torque as well. In fact, 785 to be exact. And that all means that this big vehicle can go 0 to 60 in what they're saying under 5 seconds, which is crazy impressive. Of course, looking at the exterior looks again, it doesn't have that grille that you're used to seeing with the regular Cadillac. There's got, some really cool and crazy lighting sequences when you walk up to the Escalade. Of course, everything is going to be high end on this thing. Obviously, wouldn't expect, of course, anything less than that. It also has a very sleek design as well. You can see that, the side profile of it really dips down on the back. I did get a chance to look inside. I couldn't sit inside of it. I did talk to some engineers who had. And the head profile, although a little bit lower than the outgoing model, isn't dramatically lower. In fact, actually, the cool part about this Escalade IQ is that it is kind of sitting in between the ESV and your regular Escalade in terms of length, but also it's closer to the ESV in terms of storage. And the reason for that, of course, is because you're going to have the E-trunk in the front, which has, I think, up to 12 cubic feet of storage in that frunk, or E-trunk, if you want to call that, in the front. Now, the rest of the design, of course, it doesn't maybe look as big, but it is big. It's actually, like I said, it's a little bit bigger than a regular Escalade. 24-inch wheels on the side of this thing, and along with the design of the roof, these wheels, the wheel design are 24-inch wheels, as I mentioned, 35-inch tires, by the way. The roof line design, along with these wheels, I think it's like 15% less drag coefficient as well over the but the ICE model of the Cadillac Escalade. Now, the cool part about these wheels and the design of them, first and foremost, I think they look really nice. I've not always been impressed with manufacturers' wheels. I will say that firsthand. But these ones in person especially, they look really, really sharp. They really fill up the hole. But the cool part about them is in the design of these, they've made it so that when it actually is going, it's like a flat surface, which is of course going to make the wind go by, again, giving that better, less drag coefficient. Don't worry, we are gonna get into talking about what's inside, because there's a whole crazy amount of crazy cool things that are in the inside of this Escalade IQ as well. But if we're going to keep talking about, the outside, I just want to talk about a couple other things. It has independent front and rear suspension in this. It has the magnetic ride control 4.0. It has air ride suspension, which will lower the vehicle to 2 inches, raise it up to an inch, I think is what they were saying. It also has, what else does it have that I want to mention on here too? Oh, and it has, of course, all-wheel drive, the all-wheel drive, so drive motors for the front and the rear. Now, what does that also mean aside from just the drivability to it? Well, that of course means the better maneuverability, if I can say the word properly, shorter turning radius. They've also got another cool feature alongside this all-wheel drive as well. So this four-wheel steer allows for something also called the arrival mode. Now, what arrival mode is, the simplest way I can put it is, I'm sure by now many of you, if you follow electric vehicles at all or follow GM at all and know anything about the Hummer EV, you've sure heard of the crab walk. This is essentially the same thing that I believe the Cadillac is just branding arrival mode. And it's going to allow the vehicle to literally go diagonally so you can get in and out of tighter situations, and you know what, it just looks pretty cool too. And a couple last things when sticking with the exterior. The one thing I forgot is I was talking about, of course, the roof line, being really aerodynamic, and it definitely tapers off down near the back. But it's actually a fixed panel glass roof as well. So that looks pretty cool. It might be hard to tell in some pictures, but it is basically a full glass roof, which I love. I love the looks of that. Those of you who are always wanting big sunroofs, you can't get any bigger than that. Of course, it's a tinted glass, right? So you're not going to get that light in on, inside of you. Another cool thing though too that I really like about it is when set up properly with the proper configuration, if you have the key fob on your person and you get close enough to the vehicle, it can actually be set to the doors actually popping open for you. So the technology is just crazy. And when we're talking technology, we got to hop inside because there's some even more crazy things in the inside of this vehicle. Oh, and by the way, I have the American starting price on this as well. So we'll get to that here in a second too. I mean, there's not a whole lot I can say that these pictures and videos of the interior aren't simply going to just speak for themselves. First and foremost, the fit and finish, as you would expect inside of a Cadillac Escalade, now this being the Cadillac Escalade IQ, are second to none. I mean, being there in person and seeing the one color of interior that they did show, I believe there's going to be, and talking to one of the designers, 4 colors of interior. Of course, we're going to have a black. I cannot remember some of the other colors what he was mentioning. Of course, this one here is like a sand color interior. The fit and finishes on the doors, the lighting's on the door as well. I mean, all this stuff is beautiful. But of course, the attention grabber in the front seat at least is the 55-inch LED fully digital, of course, screen that goes from pillar to pillar. By the way, on the end of those pillars is speakers, a 40 speaker AKG sound system, another amazing feature. But again, you have the ability to have, it's coming with 55 inches of total screen. Now the cool part about it is you have, of course, your driver's information center. There's widgets in the center that the driver can control, or just off to the right. And then in the center, that's obviously your driver control center. And then if you go over to the passenger side, the passenger has their own setup. Basically 20 inches of screen are dedicated to your front passenger. They can actually browse the web and watch movies. Now, the cool part about this, whether you think it is or not, but from a safety perspective, Cadillac has some technology behind it where the driver actually cannot see the screen when the person beside is utilizing it. There's something that basically is grayed out from the angle they're at. Now, I know in the past they were using an OLED screen in the current Cadillac Escalade. And I know that one of the other journalists that were there, I'm not a journalist, right? One of the journalists that were there, though, had asked the question why they went from OLED to LED. And I am wondering if that might be the case, because you might be able to do something with, again, I'm not a computer guy, I'm not a tech guy, but I'm wondering if there's something you can do with the LED screen versus the OLED where you can do that separation so that the driver, or the passenger, can have that capability, which I think is really, really cool, to be able to watch a movie or browse the web while you're in the passenger seat. And then, the driver is not going to be exposed to that from a safety perspective. And then they haven't stopped when it gets to the rear seat either. I think that now you're going to have the want of more rear passengers than ever in this, because again, they have the 12.7-inch screens in front of both passengers in the back with USB and HDMI, connections to those, so you can watch different things on them from your, tablet or your phone or whatever it may be. You can, video game system, whatever, whatever it is you want back there. The other thing is, the rear seats are now heated and ventilated and massaging. So of course, I didn't even speak to it. This should be a common, obviously, thing you're gonna know. The front driver and passenger seats are heated, cooled, and of course, massaging. But now you're getting that in the back second row as well. And they have full control over it. There's a screen that's actually in between the two passengers in the back when you get this certain setup that allows you to adjust all those things from a digital screen. You can move the seats, you can, adjust the heat, the cool, the massaging, all that kind of stuff from those screens. You can even move them, of course, because again, we do have a third row as well. Now, of course, a third row isn't getting quite the attention like your first and second rows do. But the question I really did have was in terms of, what is the legroom like in the back? I really liked when they went to the current generation of Tahoe, Yukon, and of course Escalade, where there was more legroom in the back due to the independent rear suspension. Well, of course, being that it has more of a flat floor again with the battery and everything else, the assumption and the understanding I have, I don't have the number right on me as I'm making this video, but if I can find it before I post this video, I'm definitely going to include in here the difference between the current Escalade and this model IQ Escalade in terms of what the legroom might be. Again, maybe a little less headroom, but you might, that might be forgiven by having more floor room. And then behind the third row, pretty similar as far as storage to what you would see in a regular Escalade. But again, we have that huge trunk in the front, which gives us as much space, almost as much space as you're having in the ESV, but in a vehicle that is a little bit shorter than an ESV. Now the Escalade IQ is going to come in two different trim levels. It's going to have the luxury and the sport trim, and of course they're going to have some differences there. One of the things I did know and did hear is the sport trim. For an example, you can have the colored roof, or it could be paint matched as well. I think a lot of the pictures, at least the vehicle that I had seen had a black roof with, I think they call it slower flare or flare. Was the color of it, but regardless, so there's going to be that. Now, as far as the pricing, in fact, actually, before we get the pricing, one last thing I forgot to mention when we were talking about the battery and all that kind of stuff. It actually has bi-directional charging capabilities as well, so you can charge your house with it. You can do different things in terms of charging other vehicles, of course. Again, like we're seeing with the Hummer EV and so on. But again, that is something that is encompassed in this vehicle as well. But pricing, I will apologize to my Canadian friends. I do not have Canadian pricing. But in speaking with one of the engineers, the expectation is we're starting at $130,000 US will be your starting price for the Escalade IQ. I would love to hear what your thoughts are on it. Not that I don't care if you like or don't like electric vehicles, but just this, the specs behind this, what it looks like and stuff. I would love to hear what you think of it. Comment below. Until next time, hey, and stay tuned for those Silverado HD videos coming your way. Take care.